That's a lot of water, and there's more than one bucket that we've been filling up.
So we think we have a leak in our tank.
Oh yeah. There's water coming in from everywhere. It's terrible.
Here are the struggles of living on a relatively small boat while doing projects. I don't know what that was. Spray foam crap or something.
What you doing?
Oh, just cleaning out the very front of our boat that I never thought we'd have to clean out. But hey, that's what we're doing. But now we're gonna have a load more space. Look at all this unused space up here. You know, in a 33-foot boat, you want to use every little bit. And this, look, I could almost fit myself in here. I look ridiculous. Oh, it's so hot in this thing.
We started off by cutting a piece of fiberglass so that we could even out the bottom layer of our anchor locker and start building it up.
And so the grinding began. We had to clean up the surface of all the glue and old spray foam that was in our way of laying down new fiberglass. It was amazing how much space there was at the very bow of our boat, with only a little access hole 4 inches wide by our feet in our V-berth. So we were very happy to expand this out to make better use of the space.
So I have been taping the corners in our V-berth because you can probably see there's a bit of light coming through, which means there's also some fiberglass that comes through when we're ascending. So making sure it's all covered. Hopefully well covered anyways. How's it going?
I'm a snowman! I don't think anybody really loves grinding fiberglass. It gets really itchy and you're pretty much uncomfortable the whole time. But it's part of the job, and we have a fiberglass boat, not a steel boat or aluminum boat, so you kind of got to get used to it.
I turned on the water and started cleaning off the first layer of fiberglass off of Corey's arm before he could get a real shower. And it took him a few days before all the fiberglass was out of his skin.
We decided to replace things that were looking a little shabby, like our through hull for our vent hose that for some reason had a wooden backing plate, which doesn't really make much sense to me because it's a spot that's going to be very wet most of the time. So we replaced it with this plastic that we had lying around.
It can be really hard to work where you live, but at least not too much fiberglass made it into our V-berth. But I still had to vacuum and get a good wash to the bed sheets.
I think I'm gonna make some tabbing, or I think we're gonna make some tabbing lower down and build a box just lower and deeper. I am cutting the foam for the bottom of our anchor locker. I just kind of measured this is approximately the size of the foam that needs to be at the very bottom of our anchor locker, right here. And I'm cutting the foam a little bigger because I know it kind of goes outwards, and this is 2-inch foam. So I want to make sure the foam kind of covers as much as I can. We're going to glass over it so it doesn't matter too much, but just might as well try to cover as much as possible so the glass doesn't have as far to go to reach another solid point. So here's the mess of our boat currently, because we're currently working on projects as well as trying to make some food. It's kind of difficult to keep the boat clean while you're in the middle of a project, But you always got to make some room somewhere to eat some food. So here we have Alex making some wonderful food.
Hello! Making some Chinese style noodles with tons of veggies.
Ooh, look at that. And it looks like Alex has chosen our spot for this evening, since our cockpit is filled with tools. The one spot on the table that's sort of clear.
I am cleaning up the water fill cap because there was a bunch of silicone caulking something around here so that it wouldn't leak. But I want to make it nice and clean so that we can actually put some new one and reseal the whole thing.
We're just trying to run the hose. Hopefully this goes well, because we're not sure how easy this one's going to be to put in, because the hole is kind of just the size. So now I'm just trying to bend this and get it into closer shape. It's just not the most easy thing to work with, but it's nothing like exhaust pipe at least.
Gosh, this anchor locker is taking forever to do. We're still only in the initial stages. We're trying to run the hoses right now, but it's taking forever because we don't have a big enough holes. Now we've got to make it a bit bigger because the hose doesn't really bend well. So hopefully we get it in soon, because I kind of want to fill up the water tank and not just carry jugs. So this is my little hole where I have been attaching the water hose and the vent. Really tight. I can only fit one arm. We've got temporary water.
Filling up the tank for the first time with our brand spanking new vent and fill hose. It's still not glassed in. We didn't get around to that. We were a bit ambitious, thinking we were going to get around to fiberglass today. But we got all the molds in, the styrofoam in place. Might have to do a little bit more modification, but other than that, we should be good. What you up to there?
I am cutting some little piece of styrofoam so that we can have some ribs on the lid for the anchor locker. So it's hopefully going to be a little bit more solid. So I'm pretty much just like piecing all the different parts that we're going to be putting in, cutting some little fiberglass and getting everything ready so that we can just epoxy everything at the same time.
What you doing?
I am trying to write on this. On the fiberglass, cutting some pieces of fiberglass so that we can lay them in our new anchor locker.
So we're finally fiberglassing?
I think so.
Woo! Oh, look at that. We've got another thing to remove. We chose epoxy resin over polyester because we're building upon old fiberglass that was already there, and we wanted to make sure we had a good mechanical bond.
The anchor lid project was fun and tricky at the same time. We were trying to strengthen it by fiberglassing some foam ribs across. But even with a chopped strand fiberglass, it can be really hard to get it to wrap around things. But with some patience, I finally had it all covered with not too much air bubbles. Oh, they don't want.
Acetone, acetone. Cleaning up the fiberglass.
Time to do some fiberglass.
Our last project was made with polyester, which has a different mixing scenario than epoxy does. So when we got our epoxy for this project, we decided to get the pumps along with it, which give you nice amounts for each pump. Every time you pump, you just pump the same number of hardener pumps, and you know you have the right ratio every time. Woo! Second layer. Whoa. Oh. Oh. Woo. Woo. All done. The glassing is finished. We got a couple layers plus a little bit extra in some of the corners, and we should be watertight now, hopefully.
So this is the fiberglass with some epoxy resin. It just cured and it looks wet, but it's actually solid.
It's a little more hollow here because it's empty space behind here, and then the hoses with the hose. And it's a little bit squishy here, or not squishy, but more flexible here because there was just an air gap along the seam that maybe we should have filled, but it's all a learning experience. Worst case, we could grind this down or sand this down just a little bit and lay another strip or two. But the bottom is beautiful, just how I wanted it. So we have to reposition our ribs. We glassed them in a little crooked, so we're fixing that, and the glass was a little too thick here because it bubbled out on us. So we're just going to put some thickened epoxy, which Alex is mixing up right now. It's pretty close to the right consistency already. Peanut butter consistency. Peanut butter. Having fun, Alex?
Oh yeah, as always. I'm really excited for this project to be done though. I want to go sailing. We've got water coming in still, even though we closed off the whole anchor locker. So there's, I don't know.
It is spongy. There's water just seeping out of it. And it hasn't rained in a little while, since yesterday. Trying to find out why all this water keeps flowing into here. So I'm gonna try to peel off this. After a bit of a freak out moment, thinking that there was still water coming in, after finally repairing what we thought was our water leak, turns out it was just water trapped and it hadn't made its way out yet. We decided to use a wood board as our plate for where the anchor chain was going to go in. And to keep it out of the elements, we put a couple layers of epoxy on the outside. On a sailboat, sometimes you don't have all the tools you need. So you gotta love when you're not using the right size drill bits and have to use 3 to get to the same size hole that you originally wanted to make. Sorry it's so windy. Hopefully there's not too much wind noise, but we're just doing a quick little project before the storm comes in. It's supposed to be raining like crazy this evening. Some pretty good flash floods. And we still haven't put a drain in our anchor locker, so we're gonna do that now. So as you can see, the water just kind of pools down there at the bottom. We're gonna put a drain hole. Normally the drain hole is right through the very front. That's where our old one is, as you can see up there. But we need one down here, obviously, because it's much lower and the water is still seeping in down there. So we're gonna put one just out off to the side because we have a piece of stainless steel running right down the front of that. So we're gonna go right beside it, right around where that water is.
We had to remove our water fill cap from inside the anchor locker, so we decided to put it on deck where it would be much more practical and easy to fill our water tank.
Drilling holes through the deck is always fairly nerve-wracking.
We have another hole in our boat. Alright, we got some polyurethane underneath this sucker. Now we just gotta screw it down. Woo!
I was so excited when we finally put in the water fill cap on deck because that was the end of the anchor locker refit project. That has tons of stuff in it, and maybe I'll be able to try to save it and give it a little clean. So I guess I'm gonna try to clean this up and put it back on. Yay! We finally have a brand new water fill hose. And the water filter is now super clean.
With our job pretty much done, it was time to enjoy a bit of beauty around us. So we decided to take our kayaks out and enjoy a beautiful sunset while kayaking around our marina.
You're pink.
I'm pink. The light's very pink.
It's not fully finalized right now, but when we get to our new anchor next season and the chain, we'll do the final touches, close it up, and make it all nice and pretty. This anchor locker was a very long project, but hey, what's new? Everything takes way longer on the sailboat.
Next time, with our anchor locker finally finished, we get out for a sail and even watch some live music at the marina.
5 people in the boat. That's crazy. That's the most people we've had here. So every single bed is used.
Check out our cool new lighting.